No animals were harmed or injured during the recording of this podcast.
I pretty much agree with you, but I can show you a very classic example of people who, like when you say people know inherently right and wrong, I'm going to show you something that's so obviously wrong, not a matter of an opinion, it's factually wrong, and most people will not care. Did you know, okay, in every 3 months or so, I don't have the exact time frame, so don't quote me, but you can look it up. Every 3 months or so, they kill more animals than there have been humans who have ever been on Earth. And they torture them, not just kill them, they torture them. So when you go to a meat industry and you buy meat, cheese, and milk and all that, you give your money to an industry that tortures and kills animals. But if you ask most people, is it okay? Most people either don't know or don't care enough to change them. So I don't know if I agree that, a lot of people know about right and wrong. It's whatever they know. I think the guy in the middle, Frank, he said it best. I heard Frank say this when I was talking. There's a lot of tribalism, and Frank is right on that. There's a lot of tribalism, or something like that, right, Frank? You
That
said
was
something like
JC.
that.
That was
That
JC.
was JC, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah, I was
Frank. I'm
talking a
sorry.
bit about
Who's
tribalism.
JC? Oh, JC, okay.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, there is a lot of tribalism. So people, you're right, Tony. For the most part, people know right and wrong inherently, but there's a lot of things factually, like straight up, where it's right there, it's wrong. I gave you age of consent laws. I gave you the animal thing. There's more examples, but you get the point. They just don't know, or they don't care enough to change them.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You could say that about abortion too. We kill 1 million kids unborn every year, but no one cares. Unless you're concerned with that, but some people aren't. So, Galaxy is concerned about animals. I would say I would be concerned about human beings. But
I'm concerned about both
Let me
animals.
ask you a question, Universe, real quick.
But just
Do
to
you think-
address Anthony, I care about both. I don't want to kill babies or animals. I just find it very strange that a person will tell me he's pro-life, so he thinks when sperm meets an egg is life, and I'm on his side. That is life. But then he has no problems with the torture and killing of trillions of animals then, just so people can eat them who don't have to eat them.
What's torturing of animals, Universe? What is torturing?
For example, I'll give you an example. There's a lot of things. If you have any kids, I'm not going to get into detail. You can just research it yourself. Just to give you one example. Did you know lots of pigs are literally put in gas chambers and they're squealing in like pain where they suffocate and they're tortured before they die? A lot of people think that animals are like on this green farm where they're free and happy cows come from California and the farmer loves them. And then at the end, when they get old, they shoot them quickly and that's it. No, to feed 7 billion people, you need to have tons of animals. And if you go to all these grocery stores, have you ever wondered how is there so much meat available at grocery stores, restaurants, diners, fast food joints?
Universe,
How is there so much?
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to ask you a question. But
Yeah.
I legitimately have to ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
Everything, and just give me about 2 or 3 minutes before you interject. Is that
Yeah, sure.
I legitimately understand what you're saying, and you're asking these moral and ethical questions of animals suffer because of the consumption, but at the same time, we as humans have a fascination with materialism and technology and constantly improving upon our technology. We are very willing as a species to spend all of our time not hunting and gathering to eliminate the need of unnecessary death of the animals that you mentioned, but to put that time and effort into creating technology. Right? We need an iPhone 10. We need an iPhone 11. We need an iPhone 12. We don't care about animals. We need a 13, an iPhone 14. 15 billion more animals die. We need an iPhone 16. We need an iPhone 18. We don't care. All we care about is a constant evolution of technology moving forward. All we care about is perpetuating our existence and our survival moving forward. That's our biological imperatives. Fortunately, we have created a system, a structure that we're able to focus on the technology and focus on quality of life and focus on improving our quality of life, that we have these agricultural systems and these farming systems. And as a result of our innate desire or pre-programming to continue to perpetuate forward, at the sacrifice of that, yeah, we're going to fucking gas, excuse my language, we're going to gas pigs. We're going to raise cattle. We're going to raise all of these things. That's a side effect. That's a byproduct of the machine that we have inherently moving forward. So for you to sit back and to say, well, what do you think about 700,000 pigs? Nobody cares, because we're moving forward. The whole purpose of the social safety structure, the system we have, is to perpetuate that movement moving forward. So is your problem with the fact that we do that as a pre-program innate desire, or is it the fact that it goes against your belief system? Because if that's the case, you need to build your own spaceship and like rocket yourself into Mars or off the planet and move away from everything that's happening here on the planet, because none of that makes sense to me.
Yeah, no, I understand. So just so you know, I'm not going to dodge your question. I'm going to answer it, but just to point something out here real quickly, I'm not asking for perfection. The very fact that humans are on Earth to survive, to have a house and have clothing and have food, you're going to have to destroy something. Well, destroy might be too strong of a word, but you're going to have to take something from the Earth. So I'm not asking for perfection.
You have to consume something.
Yeah, consumption, right. But at the same time, when you claim to have values and you love life and you believe in God and you believe in God's creatures, and you support an industry that's literally torturing. I mean, if you go into the details, it's hell on earth, and they're suffering and pain to the point where human beings are actually playing God and forcing them to get born and separate them and raise them to be killed. Some of them are killed when they're babies. This is a very sick thing that's happening. So this is not about, you start telling me about, well, we want phones and we want technology, and if we could move to Earth, and we all agree on basic common sense, don't torture and kill, and then everything else we can debate that's not as evil then?
No, okay. So, okay, let's back it up again. So you just said to me that we all have values. So I want to understand, as a terms of reference moving forward, what is your definition of values? And what are your values?
Don't torture and kill. Don't torture and kill.
But okay, can you give me a list of values? Like, don't torture and kill. Okay, that's easy for any of us to say, but let's list your core values. What are your core values?
Do you eat meat, Universe?
I was going to ask the same question.
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, you've got.
I was born in America, grew up here. I grew up eating all the meat, hot dogs, hamburgers, corn dogs, you name it. I ate it. I grew up eating it. But to answer your question, do I eat meat? No.
Okay. You've got a panel of meat eaters here. That I can tell you.
Yeah.
Are you Indian American, Universe Galaxy?
What a great guess. What made you guess that?
I could tell. I could tell in your voice.
You could tell I'm Indian by my voice.
I very much can. My stepfather is Indian Guyanese, and I work with a lot of Indian guys. I could just tell by your voice. And by you saying you don't eat meat, that was a further affirmation as well.
Actually, no. So I'm actually not Indian. The reason I asked you because I have no accent, so I don't know how you could tell I'm Indian. I'm not Indian. No.
Oh, you're not?
From the galaxy?
No, no.
Okay. I thought you were.
I was born in America. No, I was born in America. I have no accent. Do I have an accent, guys?
Yeah.
Is your heritage Indian? Are you from India by heritage or no?
No, I'm not. No.
What is your heritage?
If you want me to answer that, I will. But just so you know, I have a very popular page on YouTube, and I kind of don't want to give out my personal info because a lot of people might recognize me. Do you mind if I just don't give out the personal info? But I'm not Indian to answer that question. Just so you know.
No problem. No problem, brother.
Sorry, guys. I don't want you guys to think I'm being like hiding or mischievous. It's just that I call lots of programs.
Not at all.
I have a very popular page. People might recognize me then,
This is a great conversation. I mean, I think it's really good.
A lot of times people ask me like, how old are you? What city are you in? What's your job and all that? And I purposely try not to give them some personal information then.
Now,
Pakistani.
Now, I will say,
Indian, Pakistani. Where's this coming from?
Yeah, this dude is memeing, man, guys. He's a trolling dude. He's straight up memeing.
Okay. But do I have an accent? I mean, I was born in America, raised in America. Do I have some accent? No one's ever told me you sound Indian, or I can tell you're Indian.
Frank got you.
He's straight up memeing. Just ignore it.
Okay. All right. USA. By the way, on that note, just to convince you I'm an American, go Dodgers, go Lakers.
I don't know if that would convince me.
I missed that. What was it? I missed that. Sorry, what was that?
How do you like golf?
I'm going to take what you said about the torching of animals. This is one thing I will say that I don't think the average person, if they had to kill their own meat, shoot their own pig, shoot their own, I don't think they could do it. Myself, yes, I've done it. Not an issue. I pull a fish out of the ocean. I have no problem gutting it right there on the beach. But I think that's a survival instinct. That's how we are. I don't care if you agree or disagree, but we are carnivores. We eat meat.
I do disagree. I do disagree, Tony, because number one, not to avoid your topic, I'm going to address what you just said, but whether we're carnivore or not makes no difference. And it's easy for us to say that because we're not the ones being tortured and killed. If you were the animal and you were being tortured and killed, I mean, in order for you to understand what they go through, I have to get into detail, and I'm pretty sure everybody here is not interested in that. So just do the research yourself. Find out the immense pain and suffering they go through just for people to eat a hamburger who don't have to eat them. To your part about survival instincts, there's lots of parts of the world.
I think of pain it would take to not eat meat. Honestly, that would be painful to me.
Well, I have a question. Just real
quick. And it was tougher. It was tough for me too, man. When I used to eat meat, it was tough for me to stop. But once you know how to stop, and you can eat meat substitutes, and it's actually better for your health and better for the environment. And if you believe in God and you're an animal lover, you're doing the right thing by stopping. You will look back and say, "Damn, I should have done it faster."
I was always taught. This is what I was taught. I come from a lineage. I come from a lineage of outdoorsmen and hunters as well. And it's like, if you killed an animal, you ate the animal. You didn't kill an animal just to kill an animal. If you killed it, you ate it. If you caught it, you ate it. That was the rule. And anything other than that.
Yeah, and just so there's no misunderstanding, I'm not saying it's bad to eat meat to survive. Anybody who's starving and hungry, if you're in the Amazon jungle and you have to eat, I'm not going to tell you to kill yourself. You have to survive. I'm just saying Mr. and Mrs. Fat American who go to Taco Bell and then forget about it in 20 minutes, you don't have to torture and kill an animal for that. And they're playing God. Humans are playing God and forcing them to be born and separating them and putting them in cages and all sorts of horrible things for what? So people can go to Jack in the Box and to enjoy a meal for 20 minutes and take a shit and forget about it. And then they call themselves animal lovers and they believe in God and they're pro-life and all that. It's a contradiction and it doesn't make any sense then. It's horrible. Well, it's wrong.
I can respect your point. I can respect your point. But I do believe the animals were placed on Earth for us to eat. They were given to us.
Do you eat dogs and cats?
No, but I could. If I was hungry enough, I would.
Right, but you don't believe dogs and cats and roaches and elephants and rats and zebras were all put on here for us to eat, do you?
They're edible.
No, you could eat humans too. I'm sure you can cook a human to taste like a filet mignon. But that doesn't mean you have to. Think of it like this, man. Think of it like this, man. If you went to another planet, my name is the Universe Galaxy. I like astronomy. Let's say you went to another planet, okay, and you had plenty of resources to survive, and you took your Smith and Wesson and you shot up ET and all the other aliens on the planet just for fun, and then you ate them. Everybody would say you're insane because why are you killing them when you don't have to? So if it's not okay to kill the other creatures on the other planet,
you wouldn't be able to eat them all.
Whatever you did kill, if it's not okay,
if you don't eat them.
But I'm saying you could eat them. So let's say you shot some ET aliens on another planet and you ate them. You put ketchup and barbecue sauce and you ate the eyeballs and guts and everything. After you were done, everybody would say, why are you killing these aliens? They have a right to live. So if you believe that if you believe in God and we're all God's creatures and all creatures in this universe have a right to live, why is it okay to kill the creatures on this planet then?
Because they're here for us.
Yeah. So why do other, we got it from Vlad Dracula. Why do other animals kill other animals? Why do you see a alligator or a crocodile at the edge of a pond and a little deer comes up to take a sip, or a little antelope, and he just grabs a hold of them? So the animal world is a violent world. I mean, it's ridiculously violent. That's how they eat. And we are at the top of the food chain. or shall I say, we made ourselves at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Well, that food chain is a man-made thing. Like if an alien invaded Earth and they said, we're higher than you, we're stronger than you, we're on top of the food chain, so let's kill and cook the aliens like they did in the Twilight Zone, that doesn't mean they have a right to kill us and torture us. The animals who kill each other in the jungle, they not only don't know any better, they have to survive. And I told you guys earlier, if you have to survive in the jungle, go ahead. But when you go to Jack in the Box and you eat a hamburger and you forget about it in 20 minutes and take a shit, that doesn't mean you have to do that so animals can be tortured and killed for you.
I can agree. I can agree with that point because I think people should be mindful when they do eat. They should be thankful for when they do consume the animal or the flesh or the plant, because that was all given to us to consume. But you should be mindful. I can understand that point 100%.
There was a tribe in the Amazon. You can find the video on YouTube. It's a really popular video. A tribe in the Amazon in South America who says, yes, we kill animals. And every time we do it, we feel guilty. But the only reason we do it is because we don't have a choice. We have to survive. But people in this country, when you kill trillions of animals and you're putting them in gas chambers and forcing them to get pregnant and separating them and all the horrible things they do, it doesn't make sense to go, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in life. I'm an animal lover. And I don't have to eat them, but I'm going to keep giving my money to an industry that tortures and kills them.
Now,
But you never talk about the unborn children, do you?
It's wrong to kill babies too, but I brought this point up again, man. If you
just two, two,
no, but I'm saying
two.
No,
is that equivalent?
I want to hear what Gonzo has to say. Gonzo, what do you have to say?
No, but let me just address what he said. I addressed this. If you believe sperm meeting an egg is life, and then you take a knife and slice the eyeball off an elephant, you don't see the contradiction there?
No, I don't say you torture animals, but you say two. I mean, we're in California. We're not.
So you took my word two and you ran with it. I was just showing you that if you believe in life, you're going to tell me sperm meets an egg is life, and then you have no problem chopping off the head of a cow.
You're gonna if people eat meat.
No, I wouldn't have a problem chopping off the head of a cow. I would eat the cow. I don't see how that's a baby. That's not the same. A human life and an animal life is not the same thing.
I'm not saying it's the same. But the suffering and torturing of life is life.
But you're not preaching about the human life that's killed every year in this country.
I'm also not talking about murder of humans and rape of humans and smog and graffiti. It doesn't mean I don't care about other subjects. This was the subject, so I was going over this now.
Okay, well, you're talking about life. You're talking about life in general.
Anthony, Gonzo's got something to say.
And I don't kill babies either. I don't kill any life.
I don't know what you do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Now let me tell you why. Let me tell you
what I meant. What I meant was I know where this is going. I don't purposely go out. If I step on an ant by accident or my car graffitis smogs up the air and a bird dies, I don't intentionally go out just so I can enjoy a hamburger. You know.
No, what you eat. You are no better than anybody else. Now let me explain.
Well, I'm surprised by that.
Yeah. So what kills more animals? The meat production industry or the plant production industry? What kills more?
Well, before I get to that, isn't there a difference? Because one is intentionally doing it. The other one, you have to eat something to survive.
No, you only have to eat something to survive.
No, they're very comparable. Okay. So just give me a couple minutes. So I'm coming to this topic as somebody who was formerly a vegan, who almost died because of it. And
Why did you almost die? What do you mean?
I almost died because of severe nutrient deficiencies.
No, but that has nothing to do. That's because you didn't do it properly. Like you could eat meat.
No. Vegans always say you didn't do it right. Now here's the thing.
I don't. Wait. I don't know.
Allow me a couple minutes. Allow me a couple minutes.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to bounce out.
If you can just let me follow up with
this conversation.
Hold up,
JC. You're welcome.
Hold on one second.
Anything
JC,
you eat, you can have health problems.
Universe, hang on one second. JC, appreciate your input. Of course, you are always welcome back, brother. Always. Very valuable.
Tony.
Valuable.
Appreciate it.
Incredible.
Always a pleasure.
I'm very,
Much
I'm very
appreciated.
surprised you laughed at me and labeled me a vegan, like I'm all like these other vegans. Like, if you eat meat, if you eat cupcakes, cake, anything you eat, you can have health problems. Just because you had a deficiency doesn't mean veganism is bad. It just means you didn't do it properly. Because there's
Now,
plenty of
hang on.
people who are vegans who do it
Yeah,
properly.
sorry,
you're
universe,
putting
just
words
hold your
in
breath
my
for a
mouth.
second. I was about to say
I'm
thank
doing
you,
what
Tony, for
you
having me on
did.
tonight. Much
Hang on.
appreciated.
Hold up, JC. Thank you for coming
Yeah,
on.
you know, thanks for having me on. Frank, thanks for the conversation again. Great conversation. Anthony
You're the
from
best, bro.
California, appreciate it. I see Manadote down there on the bottom. We haven't had a chance to have a chat tonight, but I appreciate that. Gonzo, thank you guys very much. Paul, we haven't had a chance to have a chat yet, but I'm sure you're a great guy. And other
Thanks.
than that, you guys stay safe, and we'll connect again in the future. Peace out.
Sounds great.
The
See you
people
later,
who are
bro.
leaving, by the
Thank
way,
you, man.
they're about to miss it because I have a feeling that the room's about to come at me in a negative way. So they're about to miss it then.
Well, go for it, Gonzo.
Yeah. So, so here's the deal. So just allow me a couple minutes here.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So this is important stuff to know. And unfortunately, this is something that is not has not yet, at least, been recognized by the medical machine, I guess you could say, as at large. There are doctors and there are definitely people who recognize this stuff, but as far as mainstream medical practice, it just we haven't gotten there yet, and it's because doctors are not properly educated in nutrition. Most of them are not, and there's a lot of bullshit out there. But so here's the deal. So to address the first subject really quick, and then we'll get to the nutritional side of it. When you know, obviously, I don't think anybody here is going to say that killing and torturing an animal is like in the context of like some sort of
Sport.
well, it's a sport, but also just in like meat production, right? In like the mainstream meat production. I don't think anybody's saying that's great. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody is going to say that is a upstanding thing. Yeah. So
That's not true.
right. But on the other hand, to produce your bag of rice, to produce your legumes, to produce your corn and your wheat, you are killing mass amounts of deer. You're killing mass amounts of other insects. You know, when you buy organic produce, a lot of the times those farmers get out their dogs and they go and you can see footage of this. They go and they're grabbing rats and mice and all these things and they're tearing them apart, ripping them apart. And that's organic produce. It's organic. There's still animals dying. And there's, you know, like you can, the other day I just saw this footage of this deer that had got caught in some farming equipment, and there's just this huge gash, and you could just about see this animal's spine. Still alive, still walking around, huge gash in its body. It had just been cut off entirely. And you could see its ribs and it's just about its innards. And really, you know, it's terrible. It's terrible. And so so plant production and all this stuff, and not even to get into the downstream effects of all this too, because when you farm plants with modern day agriculture and all these different you know, because they have to get minerals to grow the plants, right? Because when you mass produce plants in soil, the soil becomes depleted of nutrients and minerals, and so they need to get those minerals and all this stuff from somewhere.
Just to save time, not to interrupt you, I'm sorry. Just to save time, I pretty much know where you're going with this. Do you mind if I just get in on this? Because you're saying a lot of things.
No, let me finish.
Okay.
Let him finish.
All right.
So they need to get it from somewhere. So what they do is they take these minerals from the ground. They build these giant mines, of course, and they mine potassium and phosphorus, which are two of the most important minerals, essentially. And one of the effects of these things is the just this disgusting, toxic waste, this hazardous material that comes out of this process, and it is dumped into the oceans. And Tony knows about this because, you know, he's in Florida, but there's this huge issue with red tides.
Mhm.
And that is what causes the red tides and these thousands, like just unbelievable amounts of fish dying is from these potassium mines and these phosphorus mines. So, and actually everybody here right now, I highly recommend go check out Garland Farms. He's out here in Texas, but he has covered all of this stuff extensively, and just the it just gives you an idea of how many animals die in this process, and it is absolutely insane. And so saying that, you know, because I don't eat meat, or, you know, because I don't, you know, if you're buying any food at all from the grocery store, which by the way, the same companies that own these meat production plants and also produce all of the grains, they're all owned by the same companies, like the same 2 to 3 companies.
You know, usually with the debate, there's a give and take. Do you mind if I get it? I didn't mind when people interrupted me. Do you mind if I interrupt you?
Allow me to finish.
I guess not. All right.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable to finish my point. But,
yeah, but I'm saying I didn't mind when people interrupted me, and you're going on for a long time and saying
I've
the
allowed
same thing.
I've allowed you to
time.
interrupt me. I've allowed you to interrupt me on
and I've allowed to be interrupted, and I've allowed to be interrupted too. But you're basically making the same point over and over. They do horrible things. We get your point. Like, how long are you gonna do this?
That's not my point.
Yeah,
So my point is that there is this assumed moral hierarchy that doing one thing is better than the other. Now, like you were saying earlier, you know, it isn't always obvious what the right answer is.
I never said that.
No, you did. Like when you don't know what you don't know. Somebody said it on this panel. Maybe it was.
No, I said, yeah, it wasn't me. No, it wasn't me.
All right. Well, in any case, it isn't always apparent what the right choice is. It isn't always apparent what's better, and that's the reason why, is because we don't see everything. So that's the perfect example of that. You don't see all of the you don't see all the animals that it takes to produce that bag of rice, that bag of beans. Now, the second concern is also, you know, you said that, you know, I was
Can I address your
doing
first
veganism
concern?
wrong.
Do you mind if I address your first concern?
Sure.
Yes. I don't want anyone here to believe me. In fact, I want you to assume I'm lying to you. I am purposely lying. All you have to do for any state or any of the major countries, America, Canada, Japan, India, wherever, there is study after study after study after study that shows that to take up the resources to feed these trillions of animals, and the land and the water and the food is actually more worse than what he's saying, just creating natural food from the earth. In other words, if you had 2 scenarios, where one scenario was no animals, just rice, potatoes, grains, bread, everything that comes from the earth, that is not as expensive and doesn't take as much resources as feeding all those animals with the same resources that you could give to humans. So when he's making this point about, oh, there's a lot of bullshit information and people are not getting it right, he's one of those people. He has bullshit information. He's not getting it right. What he's doing, and I know what's happening, he's going by some few studies what are pro-meat eating studies that help his narrative, but he's ignoring the majority of the studies that prove him wrong. And if you don't believe me, anybody here can research from any independent nation or government. They've all resourced this. The meat-eating resource world is much more bigger, takes more water, takes more money, it's worse for the environment. I don't know where he's getting this from.
Can I ask?
But go to the second point. Yeah. He had a second point. I want to be fair to him. But yeah, go anybody. Fine, go ahead.
Gonzo, you want to finish your point?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So essentially, what we've got here, what I'm saying is that the companies, there's only a handful of companies that are responsible for this. I don't know how I don't understand your angle coming on with that, but the
It's simple. Don't torture and kill. That's simple.
and there's torture and killing everywhere with all these industries.
Seems to be.
So I agree. That's the only thing I agree with you on. No matter what you do, and I've made this point earlier, anything a human does, if I go out in the baseball field, I'm going to step on some poor ladybug and all that. There's torture and killing all over. So you do the best you can. What you're basically telling me is, since you laughed at me earlier about vegans and all that, now I'm going to laugh at the meat eaters. What you do is, instead of addressing the problem of torture and killing, you go, well, torture and killing happens other places, so I'm going to wipe my hands and forth. So you think there's torture and killing with the animals and the plants. So your solution is to...
question for Galaxy. I have a question for Galaxy. So you don't have a problem with meat eaters. You have a problem with the way the meat is processed. What is your solution?
That's right. That's right. I don't have a problem with people trying to survive. If you're out in the jungle, if you're in some poor place like Africa, I don't want to shit on Africa. Sorry. Any place.
What if I like ribeyes and I want to eat ribeyes? So what is your solution so I can get my ribeyes that I want?
Yeah, if it's hard.
What's that?
No, I'm saying if it's hard for you to give up that taste, and the taste is more valuable to you than life, then I suggest at that point eat substitute meat. You can bury something different.
I will 100% disagree with you on that. Number one, I'm gonna say that soy is killing our country. Okay, and that's one of the biggest proteins that's available to us.
Yeah.
As men, I can tell you that I am a meat eater, and I went about 3 years ago, and there's other guys on this panel that have done the same thing. My health has improved dramatically. Not that I was ever in bad health. I don't care if it's cholesterol. I eat a ton of meat. I eat high fat, and Gonzo can attest to this. Everybody here on this panel has had incredible results with making a diet that makes you a man, and that is what this channel is all about.
Can I address that real quickly? So when you study anything in life, okay, you don't cherry pick the people where they smoked cigarettes for 100 years and they drank coffee and ate eggs and they lived to be 1,000. That's not how you analyze a science. You go by the majority of the people and study after study after study in any country, even if you want to shit on California and America and the West. Every country in the world has studied this, and they all point to the healthiest diet in the world is a natural plant-based diet. It's not even a dispute anymore.
It is a huge dispute.
It is a very massive dispute. Now, hang on. I want to address something.
Not by the majority. You missed what I said. I didn't say, like, when I say no dispute, you can always find people who go, margarine is fine, butter is fine, cigarettes are fine, I like marijuana, it's fine. The majority of the studies from the credible places all point to natural, basically anything that comes from the earth. If you live that lifestyle, it's healthier. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying if you're vegan, you're healthy. You can be vegan and have high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol maybe, and a bunch of problems. Being vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, just like eating meat doesn't mean you're healthy. But if all things are equal and you do everything equally, the healthiest one is the natural plant-based diet then. If you don't believe me, check the study.
Let me ask Gonzo, give me 1 second, Gonzo, if you don't mind. Galaxy, I got 2 questions for you. Is it more about torturing animals or is it more about health for you?
The main thing is the torture and killing. If it's not that, you can
eat so screw your health as long as the animals are not getting tortured.
Well, see, it doesn't matter because
put your health on the side, put your balanced hormones to the side, put your muscle ability to grow muscle to the side for the health, for the safety of the animals.
Yeah. To answer that question, was that Man Tidote?
Yeah, Man Tidote.
Yeah, Man Tidote. Just to answer your question, most people when they debate me or other people on meat, they'll give you all these reasons about the earth and what's healthier and all that. These are all excuses. They're not eating meat for these reasons. The main reason people eat meat is because it's taste and they're used to it.
I eat meat because I want protein from meat and it tastes
biologically necessary. It is biologically necessary.
Last question for you.
Let me answer what you said. If it's biologically necessary, then there should be tons of more people dying.
It is a miracle that that we don't have. I mean, already a lot of. Oh, hang on. Have I disconnected? Am I back?
No, you're good.
The scientific studies are out there. I don't know if you guys are researching these studies or not. I've done the research.
I am continuously researching this subject. Now, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but I'm very passionate about the subject of nutrition because it is something that has directly affected me. And I see it affecting everybody around me.
Can I list some organizations? Can you tell me if you trust these organizations? The American Diabetes Association, the Heart Disease Foundation, the Mayo Clinic. I could give you a million examples of credible, well-known places that go over heart disease, cancer, diabetes.
Those people are not credible. Those people are not credible at all. Those are not credible.
Those are not credible. Absolutely not.
Okay, so can I ask, what places do you find credible? I want to know what places you find credible.
Your test levels when you go to the doctor because you're a meat eater versus when you don't eat meat, and you go to the doctor and get tested on your health. You can judge.
I want to know what scientific places do you trust?
Your own body. Look at vegans versus meat eaters.
See, that's the problem right there. Hold on. You're going to cherry pick
I got a question for you. I didn't finish my last question. What's the solution, Galaxy?
Yeah, sure.
What is your solution?
The solution is this: if a guy from China told me that he likes to eat dogs and he supports an industry that tortures and kills dogs, and he says, "What's my solution? What's the solution?" I would go, "Stop torturing and killing the dogs."
Okay, but what about butchering cows? We're not talking about killing dogs.
Okay, but it's the same thing. The animal feels the same pain.
It's not the same thing.
It's not the problem. You've cherry-picked which animals are okay for you to kill and not kill. The animal doesn't know that you decided what animals are okay to kill and not kill.
Yeah, because cows have a lot more meat on them than a dog does. That's why we eat cows.
And an elephant has more meat than a cow. Do you eat elephants?
Yeah, we would. We would eat elephants. People in Africa eat elephants every day.
Okay, and people people also eat asses and penises and eyeballs. Does that make it okay?
I mean, if it's not, if it, you know, hey,
let me jump in. Let me just.
You still never gave me a solution, though. You still never gave me a solution.
I just told you the solution. The reason I gave the Chinese dog people is because I know you guys like dogs, I assume, and you are against Chinese people torturing them. I was trying to get you to understand, if you know it's wrong for the dog, why don't you know it's wrong for the other animals? And your answer to me is because they have more meat, or because I guess it's okay with you.
Are these people in China? Are they torturing?
I have nothing against Chinese people who eat dogs.
Okay, Galaxy.
And Tony, that's easy for you to say because you're not the dog being tortured and killed.
Okay. Galaxy is.
It's a terrible argument. I'm sorry, man. It's a horrible argument.
Hold on, Gene.
But man, what's your argument to me? So far, your argument to me has only been, I don't trust these places. I trust my doctor. These animals have more meat. You're not giving me any arguments. You're just telling me what you like.
I trust my body. I don't trust my doctor. I trust my blood tests. I trust my testosterone levels. I trust my health. That's what I trust.
Tony, if you trust your body and you trust your health, I'm pretty sure you have read some scientific things on something that has to do with health that you learned, okay, I'm going to learn these things so I can take care of my health then.
Absolutely. And
go ahead and outlaw meat, and millions and millions and millions of people are going to starve to death and die. And not only that, you're going to put a lot of farmers out of business. So, these have long-lasting repercussions, sir.
So Frank, let me address both these points. Number one, are you going to tell me that torture and killing is okay because people need to have a job? And number two, I can find you a dirt poor country that has lots of poverty. Somebody brought it up earlier, India. This place has lots of poverty, and they have the world's largest vegetarians in the world.
I live in a farming area now that I'm out in the Ozarks, and I see a lot of these farmers. I don't see them torturing animals. I see the way that they humanely kill the cow is done with a high level of consideration for how they lead the cow into the slaughter. And
Frank, 97% of the animals go to a slaughterhouse. It doesn't matter if the farmer is Charles Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie and he loves his animal. They all, majority, go to slaughterhouses. And if you say that they're not tortured, go ask the farmer how he gets the sperm out the animal, how the animal gets pregnant, how they separate the animal, and I could give you a bunch of examples, but you get the point.
Hit that light. 1 second. Let me just adjust my camera.
Hold on, Galaxy.
Paul?
By the way, do you guys want to know how they got the sperm out before the machines? Do you guys know how they got the sperm out? You'll never guess.
To me, to
They used to
torture
get-
something means to take pleasure in causing it pain. And I can tell
So
you
what
the
happened-
way that a cow is slaughtered is they are brought into these slaughterhouses with consideration. I have heard stories from these farmers where they say the cow knows that it's going to the slaughter, and they will spend a couple hours with that cow just to get that cow to calm down. Then they bring them in through this processing process, and a bang stick comes down on top of their head and puts them out very, very quickly. And, you know,
So
this
obviously-
is
so
from the
obviously
people in my community that farm for a living. And yes,
because
their
the farmers
jobs
are-
do matter, because if we're not feeding
the-
people with meat, then families are suffering, people are in poverty, then all of a sudden crime rates rise and communities suffer.
Unbelievable.
Not to mention that a lot of our meat is exported all around the world. Meat is a commodity. It produces derivatives. It produces markets that have long-lasting repercussions. Me personally, I eat meat. The one thing I'll take away from this conversation with you tonight, sir, is that it's important that we don't take things for granted, and that we present more gratitude in the food that we have, because you're 100% right when you say that we go to Taco Bell or we go to McDonald's and we eat something and 20 minutes later we totally take it for granted. I want to say that you've given me a realization that I should be more grateful for the meat that I do get, because,
appreciate that, Frank.
you know, a lot of people in the
Let
world
me-
are not as blessed.
Yeah.
So
But
I
Frank,
do
there's-
recognize
there's-
that to be the truth.
Well, I appreciate that, but there's a couple of things you're getting wrong here. Number one, you can't rely on farmers who make money. What are they going to say to you? You know what, Frank? To tell you the truth, I do torture and kill them, and it has nothing to do for the money. They're making money, and they're not going to admit what happens in the farm industry. So when they tell you happy cows come from California, here's organic food, here's free range, that's not to make the animals feel better. That's to make you feel better, and you get suckered into thinking the animals are treated nicely. To your other point, let's say I'm wrong. Let's say I'm wrong, and the farmers are all lovely to the animals, and they're free, and they're open, and there's no force of pregnancy, no caging, no pumping of hormones, no overly hot conditions, cold conditions, dirty conditions. It's all wonderful. They still kill them. So what kind of a love for an animal is that, to go ahead and kill them just to make money? To your third
The
point about
animals are here
starvation,
for us. The animals are here for us. Period.
Let him finish. Let him finish, Gene.
Your point about starvation, I gave you the example of India. There's over 1 billion people in India. It is one of the poorest. You want to talk about poverty? Detroit, Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago? That's not poverty. Poverty is in India, where people live dirt poor, literally dirt poor, kind of like the way they were in the 1930s in America for the Dust Bowl time. It's dirt poor, and they have the highest number of vegetarians in the world. And you're not going to starve the world, because the resources you use to feed the animals, the grain, the wheat, the land, the water, you can use those same resources for the humans. Animals take up more than the humans. They're bigger, they're stronger, there's trillions of them. It doesn't make any logical sense for you to assume the world is going to starve. Use the same resources for the humans. And last but not least, even if you disagree with everything I just said, let's just ignore everything I said. At the end of the day, you are justifying torturing, killing, just because you want to make yourself feel better to eat meat, because you like the way it tastes and you're used to it.
Absolutely not.
Can
No,
I
believe,
jump
I
in?
believe
Yeah.
Paul had
Actually,
something
though,
to say.
like, can I actually say something?
Yeah,
Or-
Paul, go ahead.
I think you guys are
Okay.
ignoring everything I'm telling you.
Paul, go ahead.
We
So
are.
I'll concede to Universe Galaxy that the vegan diet is a sustainable diet. I'm a person that I do a lot of research into athleticism and nutrition, and I've even tried the vegan diet myself. And I'll say, I've the time that I was a vegan, my skin cleared up like pretty much instantly. I was able to manage my acne a lot better.
That's because you quit producing testosterone. Now I'm messing with you.
No. All right, hold on, Gonzo. So I'll concede that point to you. And there's plenty of athletes. I mean, you could look them up. Plenty of athletes that are vegans, and they're doing just fine.
That's I
There's
knew
also-
you would bring that up, but that's
There's
athletes are. This is where when it comes to athletes, a lot of that stuff, guys we're missing genetics too when it comes to athletes. There's very few vegan athletes that can perform on the same type of protein.
True, Tony.
But,
It's not
okay,
true.
but when you're looking at nutrition, Tony, when you're looking at nutrition, this is a very basic rundown when it comes to nutrition. You're essentially trying to find a way to eat so that you're getting the proper amount of macros, right? Macronutrients,
Right.
and seeing which foods you could eat to actually meet those goals of macros every single day. I'll say for me, when I was doing hypertrophy training and stuff like that, it was really difficult to actually get a high amount of protein. And now, Galaxy, I know you might disagree with this at first, but hear me out.
Yeah, you're right. That is tough. That's actually pretty amazing that you tried that. How was it for you? If you don't mind me asking that.
Like during the vegan diet?
It is tough. I'm not an expert on that, but no, the other one, the long word, I don't say
Hypertrophy?
it properly right. I'm not an expert on that, but from what I understand, that is tough. That's not easy then.
Well, yeah, you have to get a lot of protein, and the recommended amount, this is obviously not completely accurate because we can't know. When it comes to nutrition, you don't know for sure. You kind of ballpark it.
Right.
So you're supposed to
right.
you're supposed to hit essentially, when it comes to protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Again, not super accurate, but that's kind of like the universally known if you're trying to do hypertrophy, right? And so with a vegan diet,
with you, man. I'm waiting for the butt. But
I'm sorry.
No, I'm joking. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
There's some kind of like context to kind of involve, right? With the vegan diet, it's difficult to kind of hit that because the foods that are non-animal product but also are protein rich also have a lot of calories at the same time. And so if you're trying to hit kind of a low calorie, high protein diet, it could be very difficult in that moment. For most people, what they do is they actually just go to egg whites, and that's a super low calorie, high protein kind of food that you could use, and so that's kind of like when it comes to vegan diets, like that's kind of where it's kind of difficult. Like if you want to have low calories but also high amount of protein in your diet, egg whites is an extremely easy kind of route you could go. However, I will concede to you that a vegan diet is completely sustainable. I'm sorry, Gonzo,
Sure, well,
I have to disagree with you. I think
I'll disagree with you 100%.
One thing, the only deficiency you will get from not eating meat, I'm a biologist, I know this topic. The only deficiency you will get is B12, and that's because you get it from the dirt and the vegetables. And nowadays we don't eat raw vegetables because it has a lot of problems on there that are dangerous. So we clean it and it takes out the B12. Other than B12, iron, magnesium, calcium, everything, there's plenty of it from the earth. It's not hard. It just seems hard because you're used to a McDonald's diet where you have barbecue, hot dogs, ribs, and chicken. So for people like that, it's like, I don't eat meat. What am I going to eat? Tomatoes and lettuce? They don't understand how easy it is. But the part about the health part, let's admit one thing, Paul, and I know you'll admit this, but I don't know if everybody else in this room will admit it. People are not eating meat for the most part for the protein or the health. They do it for the taste and because they're used to it.
Most people think meat is bad for them. That's the
Most
truth.
most people are fat asses too.
Yeah. Well, most people are afraid of meat. Like this has been my mom. Like now, my mom is like she's like 57, right? 58, somewhere around there. She is like deathly terrified of meat. Like she was raised, and she was like, my grandfather, like he would, he'd kill rabbits and they'd kill chickens in the backyard. They had a farm, and they would eat. And she's just never been a meat person. It's very difficult for her to eat meat. She has just totally turned away from that. But to address the nutrient thing real quick. This is why plants are a problem when it comes to nutrition. So first thing is the B12, right? So the B12 is a problem. And I can tell you right now that it's not just because everybody's washing the dirt off of their food. That's insane.
Oh, I know that. I was just summarizing it fast. I know.
Yeah. You're going to be deficient no matter what, unless you're supplementing, right? Which already
Right.
tells you if you're required to have a supplement to be getting adequate amounts of something, that, I mean, what is natural about that?
Right, but just so there's no misunderstanding, Chris, sorry to cut you off. Just so there's no misunderstanding, I never claimed that being vegan is healthy or eating meat is healthy. You can be unhealthy and be vegan. You can be unhealthy and eat meat. My point is, for the people who give me the excuse about it's good for your health, when they make that excuse, I'm saying to you, there are more problems long-term eating meat than there is not eating meat. There's study after study that shows if you have a high meat lifestyle versus a non-meat lifestyle, you are more likely to have health problems in the long run. Then, now, sure, you can find people who smoke a pack of cigarettes every day and live to be 100, eat eggs, eat steak, and they're all healthy. But you can't cherry pick like that. You have to go by the majority. And the studies show eating meat opens the door to possibly having more health problems than not eating meat. Then
The studies that you,
I'm sorry, plant-based diet.
Biased toward that very unhealthy lifestyle. I want to go back to Paul.
That's a conspiracy theory, Tony. That's a conspiracy theory, man.
Oh God, here we go. Don't hurt our reputations with the name callings. Now we're white people. We got to protect our reputations.
These
I wasn't trying to name call anybody.
when you have these top athletes, okay, these top athletes that can go vegan, everybody has to understand that when you're in the NBA, you're in the NFL, you're in any of these, you are the top 1% of genetic freaks in the world. These are biological genetic freaks that are not the average person. The average person cannot go on a vegan diet and be healthy. Period. And that's the truth.
Wait, Galaxy, let him real quick.
When somebody compares a professional athlete, well, he went vegan. He was already a genetic freak. Jump on that ball field with those guys. It's not going to happen. So using an athlete as a comparison in a professional sport, these guys are genetic freaks.
No, I only brought up athletes because somebody else on the panel was telling me
I'm not saying you
the athletes are.
I'm just trying to clarify that we can't use an athlete.
Fair enough.
That is
to address your point. I can assure you, Tony. Okay, I can assure you, there is no study out there that will back what you just said. You're just making things up, man. That's all you're doing, man.
What? You're making that up.
Hang on.
You're making that up.
Now, hang on. I can tell
you. To the guy with the beard, man, you really have a problem with me, and you haven't given me any logical argument. At least Tony's giving me some argument. You're just telling me they're here for us to kill. They have more meat. It's okay. It's fine.
I have a beard.
That's the truth. There's nothing else to say about that, Galaxy. And what Tony just gave you is 100% true. And you told him it's not. It's true.
No, if there's study after study that backs me, and he has no study, you're going to believe him and not believe me. It doesn't make any sense, man.
Well, what we got to do is I'm going to set a thing for you. Go on a meat diet for a month, and then tell them get your blood.
I grew up eating meat, man. I grew up eating meat, man.
Are you what is your health like? What is your physical health? It's
perfect.
I'll do better. Well, obviously, no matter what I say, everything's going to get dismissed. People are going to laugh at me and dismiss everything. No one wants to go by facts. But to answer your question, just like Paul was explaining, when I ate meat, I noticed differences. I lost weight. My energy was better, less bloated. And I could give you a million examples of how it was just so much of a difference. I felt it. Now, just because I feel it doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong. You can show me eating meat makes you feel good. So to understand who's right, you can't cherry pick. You have to go by the majority. This is why I don't understand why the guy with the beard is disagreeing with me. Most studies show that if you eat a meat diet versus a plant-based diet, the meat diet is more risky at that point.
Look, man, if you want to eat veggies, eat veggies. I'm just telling you what Tony said is 100% true.
Yeah. Well,
you're literally ignoring everything I'm telling you and just siding with Tony. That's all you're doing.
I have to. I can't entertain that.
But at least the other people who disagree, like Frank, at least like Frank and Tony and Paul, whoever disagrees.
I'm not here to be friends with you. I'm here to tell you the truth.
All you're doing so far is just saying. No, but all you're saying is like you're wrong, Tony's right, Tony's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
but that's the thing, Gene. If you're going to engage in a debate with somebody, it's going to be very hard to actually convince the person to actually change their viewpoint if the only thing you're bringing to the table is that's true. Like, you kind of need to actually add some substance to it, and I'll concede that again to Galaxy.
Yeah,
but
sure. We can have that for entertainment purposes, but you just said I told Tony.
Here's what is true. Galaxy, you're debating the long-term natural order of things. I think from the beginning of time, men have been eating meat. When I say men, I mean men and women. I mean the species of humankind have been eating meat.
That is not true. That is not true.
Okay. Well, from the history that we have, the 6,000 or so years of history we have, we know that men have eaten meat.
Frank, studies show.
I don't know. The guy who's laughing at me. Do you actually want to know, or do you just want to laugh at me?
Both.
So look, Galaxy. Let me ask you this.
You're not having a debate, man. So you know what? At this point, man, today I'll debate everybody else. The other guy who just laughs, keep laughing at me. Have a good time, man. I'm not going to debate you.
So Galaxy, do you believe that the quality of vegetable is the same as it was, I don't know, even 100 years ago? Because, I live out in the Ozarks. I'm originally from New York. And since I moved out here, I realize how much chemicals are in the food supply. They put anhydrous ammonia. They put all kinds of pesticides so that the crop is not destroyed.
I am on your side. When you eat the vegetables, because you asked me about vegetables, it is definitely not the same as it was 100 years ago. But I want you to think about something else. If you're worried about the shit that they're putting in oranges and watermelons, it's a lot worse than what they're putting in the animals. You're eating that garbage in the animals, man.
So what if we eat free range, organic, non-GMO, ethically, produced meat? I mean, does any of that make a difference?
But just before I answer your question, for over 7 billion people in the world, how in the world are you going to have naturally born animals, naturally raised with no garbage, and you can feed everyone on a practical level? How in the world would you do that?
Well, I do what I can do. I try to eat organic. I try to buy the highest quality food that I can. I can't speak for everybody.
Organic is just a...
Does it make a difference for me to do that?
I told you earlier, organic meat is not usually making the animals better. It's making you feel better. That's all it's doing. It's a brainwashing marketing thing, man.
Well,
Galaxy,
okay.
I want to... Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Because you've been
I just wanted to tie up this nutrient thing really quick because it's irking me. Because, and here's the thing, just quick preamble. Anybody can take this information and disregard it. That's totally fine. I'm not trying to convince anybody here because I understand, like we were just talking about apologetics earlier in this stream. Like, I understand that it doesn't matter how well you can answer the question. The next question is going to come that is not going to cause the change in the heart. That is not going to cause, anything like that. But anyway, all I can tell you is that this is what I have read from varying sources. I've experienced it on myself as well. Throughout this process. But this is what I have found. So I would like everybody to think of their bodies as a bucket. Okay? Your body is a bucket. And when you're eating, there's raw materials going into the bucket. There's a mechanism inside this bucket and it's coming out the other end, right? But your body has to maintain a certain level of these raw materials for it to do its job. And these raw materials are obviously protein, fat, carbohydrate, but even more importantly, or just as important, are the micronutrients. And there's a whole bunch of them, and I've read up on just about all of them. And it's insane how important they are and what they do. Most people, regardless of the diet they're on or just on the standard American diet, most people are deficient in something. Okay. Chances are if you're sitting here and watching this, if you're sitting here and watching this, chances are you have some kind of at least insufficiency. Maybe not a full-on deficiency, but an insufficiency. And it could be in anything. And it could be for a variety of reasons. Nutrient deficiencies aren't just caused by diet. They can be caused by exercise. Actually, you can have a nutrient deficiency because you're out in the sun regularly, if you're not getting enough through your food, and then
That's
you add
true.
that on top of that. You could stress is a big thing. There's also environmental toxins and things like that. There's all kinds of reasons why you could be lowering that bucket. All right. So the question, and personally, what I have found, the more that I read about nutrients, the more amazed I am at the human body, not only at how well it can adapt and survive through really difficult times, but also just how integral these nutrients are to different diseases, and how doctors are not looking at these things yet because they're not mainstream. They're not sexy. Like they're not the most attractive things to be looking at. Doctors like drugs, the industry likes to use pharmaceuticals and things like that. They're not really looking towards these things that you can't patent, like nutrients and minerals. But in any case, so the biggest concern on any diet, no matter what you're eating, is going to be the raw materials. Now, the biggest concern with plant foods is that you have the B12 problem, which is first and foremost. And that's a huge issue. The second concern is also dietary fat. And the reason
that part is not, Chris. That part is not true. Where do you get the B12 from? Yeah.
Hang on. Allow me to finish this. So dietary fat. So the problem with dietary fat is that dietary fat is a huge factor in how well you absorb minerals. And pretty much all vegan diets, like there's no way you're going to get the right type of fat that your body recognizes, because we are not made out of plants, right? We are made out of meat. If you look at the lipids in a plant, the lipids in a plant are not the same as the lipids in, like, I don't know, a cow belly, right? You can
Chris, where do the animals get it from? Where are they getting B12 from? It's not
the
B12
animals.
not,
we are not the same. We are not the same as cows. Now, hang on. Let me finish.
No,
let me finish.
But you eat the cow. You eat the cow. You're getting it from them.
So what happens is you eat, when you're eating all, like, you could eat a ton of avocados on a vegan diet, right? But it's not going to be the same fat profile as a steak. It's just it's apples and oranges. So
I see what you're saying. I know what you're
saying. Is that fat drives your intake of minerals. All right. So that's the first problem, is having enough fat and then having the right amount of fat. Most vegans are already, and most people in general are afraid of fat. People are afraid of being afraid of fat because they believe that fat and cholesterol cause heart disease. So most vegans are on.
I agree with you. Fat is necessary. Your body produces cholesterol on its own, and I have a theory it produces saturated fat. Yeah. So even if you don't get it, that part I agree. This is the part where I'm agreeing with you because you're giving facts, but you're cherry picking and ignoring the other things. So, for example, when you judge anything in life, well, I shouldn't say anything. Sorry, let me rephrase that. When you judge most things in life, you're supposed to go by the whole picture. So if you say having no animal in your diet, you're going to have deficiency in this. Okay. Having meat in your diet, you're going to have more problems. Which one is worse? You take the lesser of the evil.
You're not letting me finish my point here. The point that I'm
there's
making.
More?
Okay. Yes, there is. Yes.
I know there's more. I know there's more, but I thought that was part of it. I thought I got that part at least.
Okay. So you have the dietary fat, all right, which drives the absorption of minerals. So we know that. Then on top of this, most plants, actually, well, I mean, I guess all plants, but some plants are worse than others. Most plants have these things that are called anti-nutrients, and anti-nutrients vary. Some of them are beneficial in small amounts. Some of them, there's debate about that. But the biggest concern out of all of these, in my opinion, is phytic acid. Now, phytic acid is in your legumes, it's in wheat. It's in wheat, but you have phytic acid, and you can do some reading on that. But so here's the problem.
I've done the research. Yes, I've done it.
Yeah, exactly. So you should know this. But the point is that there is, when you have a diet high in phytic acid is going to compete with zinc. All right, so you already have a diet that is low in minerals because you're simply not absorbing a lot of what's there because of the fat intake on the diet. On top of that, then you have the phytic acid just coming in with every meal, and unless you're taking a zinc supplement in between meals, you're going to have issues with zinc pretty much from day one. You're also going to have issues with calcium. If you eat something like spinach, you're going to have oxalates coming in, loads of oxalates, and you're going to have the potential for oxalic acid building up in your joints and in your soft tissues, as well as just binding up with all the calcium so you can't use it. So now you have a calcium deficiency on top of a zinc deficiency, on top of a B12 deficiency.
Chris, how do you explain to people who don't have these deficiencies?
I mean, it can take years. Like for example, you can some people disagree with this. You can get
a lot
scurvy.
of people disagree with this.
No. You haven't heard my point. A lot of people believe that you can't get scurvy on a carnivore diet. I got scurvy on a carnivore diet.
No, listen, Chris, you have to be specific. When you say a lot of people think this, a lot of people think that, I don't rely on snake oil salesmen who say, well, I was doing this all my life and this is what happened. I'm going by the scientific research. What are you going by?
I'm going by the scientific research as well. And what I'm telling you is that, hang on.
All right.
What I'm telling you is that when you go on a carnivore diet, right? Some people say that you can't get scurvy. There's just enough vitamin C to get by. I got scurvy on a carnivore diet. Now it was not a big deal. It was easy to correct, but some people think that it's impossible. But the reason why a lot of people don't get scurvy just eating meat and not taking a supplement is because it can take years. It can take years to become
Chris, there have been people. No, Chris, they have studies out there. I told you guys earlier, don't believe me. Think I'm lying to you. They have studies where they're not going by a few hillbillies or a few city folks or a few countries for a few years. They're going years and decades where they study the people over and over and over in different nations. And I'll give you a great example. Since you like to cherry pick, I'll cherry pick. One of the highest life cycles in the world is in Japan, Okinawa. The Okinawa diet is for the most part vegetarian, although they're a fishing society, it's part of their culture. For the most part, they're vegetarian. I gave you the India example. Israel right now has the highest number of vegans. The United Kingdom, they've studied these people for decades, and they're studying them comparing to meat eaters. There's no comparison, Chris. What you're doing is cherry picking some people who disagree, and you're giving some zinc example. Well, it doesn't take in the calcium, and there's a problem here. You could find more problems with eating meat. Do you know what meat leads to? Cancer, heart disease.
You know what meat doesn't have? You know what meat doesn't have? It doesn't have oxalic acid, and it doesn't have phytic acid.
Why is the guy laughing? Why is he laughing? Because
Brandon made a very good point. That's a very good point.
It's a fucking comment. That's why.
You know why the guy laughed? The guy laughed because he likes to kill animals and he's against me, so he's going to side with any boyfriend who agrees with him. That's what he's doing.
Hey, no disrespect. Now, I know
he's laughing at me. He's laughing at me. You know.
That's all right. Anyway. I've got people in the comments section that are regular people.
They're worse.
They're
writing worse things about me.
Hey, you know what? Galaxy, it's clear that most of us don't agree with your position, but you're a great debater. There's no question about it. You know how to make a point. You know how to communicate. Are there any other topics that you're passionate about besides meat? Yes. Because I think we've almost exhausted this one.
I could change. I could ask him a question.
I actually had 4 subjects when I first came on here. If you recall, I was asking you guys, do you take all subjects? I'd love to bring up other subjects, but do you mind just to address what Chris said, please? I won't take long.
Can I ask you a question afterwards?
You got
sure.
We're gonna wrap this up in about 5 minutes. Go ahead, Galaxy, and then I'll have Paul interject, that's the end of this
Thank you. In
conversation.
fact, before I do, I want to give thanks to everybody here. Even though some people were laughing and making fun of me, for the most part, you guys are pretty nice, and you gave me time. A lot of shows don't do this. They hang up on people. They get emotional. They're rude. For the most part, I like you guys. And for all the people listening, this is how you do a show. You give people time. You exchange information. And other than that guy with the beard, everyone else was pretty much nice. I thank you guys. You guys are all welcome on my podcast.
This is
But
why
Chris, let me
this show
Yeah,
is
go ahead,
called
yeah.
Get It Off Your Chest Saturday Night. Okay? That's the name of
Okay.
the show.
I love it. I love it. I actually call lots of programs. Not every program is nice like you guys.
We appreciate you, brother. You've been cool.
We appreciate
Thank
you. I mean, I'm enjoying the debate. I'm sitting back here as the moderator in my channel, and I allow people to come on and give their point of view. We don't have to agree. But I can tell you one thing I don't do is I don't say, and I will never say this. You guys know what I'm going to say. I will never say we can agree to disagree. I will never say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
We can disagree only.
Roger.
Right. Now, Chris, actually, you know what? That agree to disagree thing, that should only apply for like opinions. Like if you're debating what's the best ice cream, oh, chocolate, vanilla, we agree to disagree. But when you go by facts, and you disagree, it's usually because one side is not going by facts. So I agree with you that whole thing, agree to disagree, doesn't always add up, you know? To Chris. So Chris, let me do this as fast as I can because I think they said they're going to end the show in 5 minutes. So I'll do this as fast as I can. Number one, most people who eat meat, they're not doing it for the zinc, the calcium, the lack of fatty acids or anything like that. They're doing it for the taste and because they're used to it from their culture. So when people give me these other arguments, they're just trying to find excuses to make themselves feel better and to win the argument. They're not actually addressing the real problem, which is basically they're giving themselves a pass. Now to your health points, the zinc, the acid, the fats and all that, anything you eat in this life, you can find problems. If I eat ding dongs and Twinkies, if I eat steaks and ribeyes, if I eat vegetables and tomatoes, anything you do can have deficiencies. As you said, pretty much everyone in America has some kind of deficiency, probably the world. But what you do is you do the best you can. And I'm showing you over and over, when you go by everything, the meat-eating diet is more riskier than the non-meat-eating diet. Now, just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy. Just because you eat meat, it doesn't mean you're healthy. So what is the healthiest way? That's a matter of an opinion. I rely on the science. And most of the science goes plant-based diet is better than meat-eating diet then. And the other thing, what about the torture and killing, man? That is my main thing. My main thing is not
That's
the
what I
health
want to ask
subject.
you about.
I only bring up health because meat eaters want to defend and go, it's better for your health. So I go over health. The main issue is the torture and killing of animals. And the last thing, Chris, the last thing, if you do eat meat, I'd like to know your take on this. When you find the problems with the vegetarian or whatever, what do you say to all the problems that could come up by eating meat then?
Well,
Like, what's
here's
your
the thing.
follow-up?
I have a because I think you kind of alluded to this earlier, but it almost sounded like you were painting me in a position like I'm trying to wash my hands of the meat industry, but that's not the case at all. Just to make that clear, because the thing is I believe that the best thing for everybody, regardless of regardless of just whatever the industries are doing, I think the best way out of this problem, the solution, is to have your own farm with your own animals and not to rely and sort of just build your life or just allow your life to be dependent upon these industries and these several companies that basically own all the food production. I think that it's disgusting. I mean, I agree with you. I agree that the animal thing is a problem. I also see that the plant thing is a problem too. So I think the best way out of this whole issue is just to grow stuff yourself. People need to start farming again. I know Garland Farms has talked about this, but there's just not a lot of young people who are farming anymore, and he really wants to see.
Should the Chinese farm dogs? Should the Chinese people farm dogs?
They absolutely can. Why would that be an issue?
You know that most people. I mean, do you need to know what most people do when it comes to money? When money is involved and how corners are cut, not everyone's a saint and a nice person. And if they think of the animal as a commodity, as a suitcase for business that gives them food, what do you think? How they're going to treat it? You think they're all going to put it in their bed and sleep with it and kiss with it and cuddle with it?
When you grow your own food, that nullifies that whole issue.
Okay,
there's
so
no money
it doesn't
involved.
because
There's no money involved if you produce your own food.
Of course there is. Of course there is. You have to buy the animal, you have to raise the animal, you have to get it pregnant to have future animals. You have to do a lot of horrible things, and you have a choice. You don't have to do these things. You can eat other things. You can eat tons of tasty junk food that'll make you happy.
Have you ever worked on a farm?
The point is, Galaxy, hold on. The point is, you're not saying it's okay if I humanely treat my cow. You're saying it's still wrong, even if I humanely treat it. That's my issue.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying in his fairy tale world where everyone has their own farm, he needs to understand when you have 7 billion people who all have their own farms, that many animals in captivity. What do you think is going to happen? They're all going to run free like dogs?
That's a lot of land. You got to buy up a lot of land.
It actually would
nothing
be.
else.
It actually would.
I'm gonna have a cow in my living room.
Doesn't make any sense. By the way, somebody asked me earlier, they had a question, and somebody else asked me, do you have any other subjects? But I heard someone say they're ending the show in 5 minutes or so. So is there time to go over other things, or are you ending the show?
I think we're gonna kill this subject because I think we've beat a dead horse here.
Yeah, it's as dead as a factory animal.
I want to.
Paul had a question.
Yeah. So just to kind of conclude my part as far as the health concerns of veganism versus or plant-based versus animal-based diet, I personally don't have enough education on that to actually know which one is actually definitively better. And so I couldn't actually give an answer for that. I need to do more research to actually conclude personally of like what I think. However, you said, and I'm glad you said this, you said the biggest problem is the torturing and killing and how that is not morally correct. Okay.
Right.
I think if we're ever going to talk about what is or isn't moral, if we're going to talk about if whether or not veganism is a more morally exceptional diet to take on, I think the question needs to be asked, where do you derive your actual morals from? Why is it that killing and torturing animals is even morally wrong in the first place?
That's a fine question, Paul. But I have a feeling, I'm not trying to assume you're doing this, okay? Don't take this personally. I always hate these parts of debates because now we're going to get into philosophical mumbo jumbo where people will start asking questions like, if a tree falls down and no one's there, does it make noise? And well, is it okay to kill one person if you save a million? We're getting into philosophical mumbo jumbo. And I'd really like to just take it for like practically, torture and killing is wrong, especially if you believe in God and if you're an animal lover.
Yeah, I think a philosophical approach to anything is the most logical approach.
Well, that's the problem, is that you're asserting a moral superiority, yet you can't actually give us a clear justification of your moral viewpoint.
All right, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it. It's not that I couldn't. I was just trying to save time. No, if you want me to, I will. You want me to explain to you why torture and killing is wrong?
Well,
yeah,
Galaxy,
please.
I have
2 reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I think there's a delay, by the way, guys. If I interrupt you, I think there's a delay. So sometimes I think you're done and you're not. So don't think I'm being rude or anything. Go ahead.
Well, I would just like to ask on top of Paul's question, are you a Christian?
Oh, that's a great question, man. So it's a little bit detailed. Do you want me to get into detail? It's not a yes or no for me.
Yeah, it's a yes or no.
It's a yes or no.
No, it's not.
Well,
it's a yes or no.
Then
well,
if it's
Catholic?
If it's a yes or no for you guys, then if it's a yes or no for you, then I'm going to ignore the question. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you answer it however you want. That's fine.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I believe in Jesus Christ. If someone tells me he's the Prince of Peace, I don't question that. I respect Jesus Christ. In fact, I don't think Jesus Christ would approve of torturing and killing animals. And from what I understand, before the flood, the world was vegetarian. I'm not an expert on Christianity, but that's from what I understand what some Christians have explained then. And as a believer in God, I just don't think it's right to torture and kill animals. Now, I am not a Christian, no, but I respect Christianity.
So why don't you identify as Christian? Is it just the religion aspect of it? Is it like the church aspect of it?
No, not at all. No, I'm not an expert on the religion, so I'm not.
Like, why will you?
No,
why
I
will
believe.
you say that?
I believe in. No, I believe in God. I definitely believe in God. I am a God-fearing person. I believe God created everything in the universe.
But do you not believe that, like, Jesus died on the cross? Is that what it is, or?
No, I don't doubt that either.
Like,
He believes in science over God. That's the bottom line.
See,
Yeah,
again,
like,
the guy.
I want to understand.
That guy with the beard. No, that guy with the beard has a real problem with me. And I honestly, I don't consider this guy to be smart. I consider this guy to be brainwashed and just trying to find any way to win against me. Man. That's all he's doing right now.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with you at all, but I'm a black and white guy. I'm not a
I don't
debate.
have a problem.
I'm a black and white kind of guy.
I don't know why you would assume. I believe in God and science. There's nothing wrong with believing the Creator created everything, and He created the molecules and the bugs and the humans and everything that has to do with science. Also, done.
So why is it that you're not a Christian? That's all I
Well,
want to know.
Hold on, let me, because that's gonna kind of pivot off from
Yeah,
my
it's a different
question.
subject, man. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I kind of have. So basically, if you believe in God, I don't know if I genuinely don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, but I'm going to assume that you're being serious. Okay, so you're being serious.
I am being 100% serious. Yeah.
I think if you have, I think if you have a presupposition of God, and that justifies your other presuppositions of morality and logic and reason and so on, and you believe that it is morally unacceptable, because now that you said that you believe in God, I actually now have more respect for you. I think you actually now have a coherent morality, metaphysical understanding.
But here's the thing, Paul. That should not make a difference for you, because whether you believe in God or you're atheist or agnostic or whatever, everyone should agree torture and killing is wrong. Then, especially
not true.
if you believe in a higher power
murder
and God created all the creatures. Then,
if you are a person with a worldview of materialism, that the only thing that exists is material, then you have no justification for why murder and torture is wrong.
But Paul, I'll tell you why that's unfair. I'm not claiming to be perfect. I live in a culture where the other guy said earlier about technology, phones. We do a lot of horrible things. We take resources. You can't expect me to be perfect. And if I'm not perfect, then go, well, you know what? You have no right to point the finger to torture and killing them.
I didn't say that you're claiming to be perfect. I do understand that it is a default position to take, that if a person, that it is a default position to assert that killing a human being is wrong. However, a lot of people don't actually take the philosophical route of actually trying to justify whether or not that is morally acceptable. You could say that killing a human being is wrong, and I would agree with you. I think everyone in here would agree. And I'm not saying that you're stupid for thinking that or anything like that, because you don't have a clear justification for why that's wrong. But I'm saying, if you're going to engage with someone and tell them that they can't do X, Y, and Z because it's morally wrong, I would challenge you and I would ask you, what is your worldview and how can that actually justify whether or not that is even wrong? Because just saying that killing and torturing is wrong and that's there, I mean, that's not good enough.
So, Paul, I did say if you want, I can answer these questions, but I'm not going to lie, Paul. I'm a little surprised that you're doing this, because whenever I get these philosophical, I mean, you don't agree with this, I know. Whenever I get what I think to be philosophical mumbo jumbo arguments, I just didn't expect that from you, because most people with common sense know you torture and kill any innocent life on this planet, it's wrong. Why would, if you don't have to do it, don't do it.
I think
Yes,
that
that's
I think you're
correct.
being ignorant in saying that. I mean, why wouldn't you, if you have gone your entire life and just sat back and thought, you know, we shouldn't kill one another, we shouldn't torture, we shouldn't do this or that,
Right.
and that's like,
Right.
I'm just going to believe that is what's morally right. You're saying that you're essentially asserting that it's ignorant for a person to then ask the question, well, why is that even a morally wrong thing to do? Why shouldn't we do that? Why shouldn't we?
Let me clarify. It's only ignorant because I already know that you know it's wrong, and you're still asking me because you're trying to find some
I know.
philosophical mumbo jumbo on that.
No, I know that it's wrong, and I'm going to assume that you know it's wrong as well. But I'm asking the question of, why do you know it's wrong? I mean, you can't just sit there and say that it's wrong, and then I know that it's wrong, and that's it. I mean, I'm going to ask you, what is your justification
just
for
to
why
make sure
that's
I
wrong?
understand? So can I ask Paul, I'm not trying to be smart, I'm asking you a real question. What is the purpose of this question if you agree with me torturing and killing is wrong then?
Well, because if you're going to be asserting that everyone just follows some sort of moral code, then I want to challenge and see if your moral code is even coherent within your worldview. And why should I follow your moral code at all? Why should I follow it?
And that's exactly what I was saying. I said that clearly. You agree with me, but you're just trying to find something to win the argument with some philosophical mumbo jumbo then.
No, that's not true at all. I'm asking and trying to find out whether or not you actually have
I'll answer your question.
moral
So,
base.
since we're going in circles, I'll answer your question anyway. And I was trying to do it earlier, actually, just so you know. Here's why torturing and killing is wrong. The life feels pain and suffering. It feels it. So when you go on YouTube and you play the videos of the animal suffering, you can hear it screaming, squirming, yelping, trying to get out of there. And like sometimes they'll have tears in their eyes. And of course, the mental aspect, you can find videos of the animals going nuts and crazy because they keep getting forced to get pregnant, for example, and their babies are taken away over and over and over and over and over and over. And then the killing. They all have a right to live. Just because we're stronger and we're higher and we're smarter doesn't mean we can say, fuck you animals, now I'm going to eat you because I feel like having a bean burrito tonight, a beef burrito. They don't have a say. They cannot speak in English and say, stop, leave me alone. They don't have a voice other than screaming and yelping. They have a right to live, just like every creature in God.
Wait, let him finish.
Hang on. Just like every creature on this planet and in this universe has a right to live. Now, if you're starving and you have to survive, you're hungry, then do what you got to do. But we are blessed to live in America. We do not have to give our money to an industry that tortures and kills animals. Then.
Okay, you didn't actually give me any clear justification to anything. You just gave universal truths, and you were saying.
No, Paul, I said suffering. No, Paul, I said suffering. They feel pain. They suffer.
Okay, great.
They don't want to die, do they?
Okay, great. Why is that
come
wrong?
on. Paul, the same reason it's wrong.
I literally just asked you a philosophical question. You can't answer it, and what you're trying to do is be like, "Oh, it's because you want to win a debate." This is why you're going this route.
Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong? Why is it wrong for someone to inflict pain on you or your dog?
Why it's wrong is because in my worldview, which is the Christian worldview, it's taught that is morally wrong because of my Christian worldview. It's not
what if someone was not Christian? What if they were Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist or atheist? They can't know suffering and killing and torturing is wrong then? What is that?
I'm not claiming that they can't know whether or not that's wrong, but I'm saying that they don't have let me rephrase that they can't feel as though that is a wrong thing to do, but I'm saying that they can't actually justify that without a coherent worldview.
Okay, so if I say to you, if I said to you, and I clearly said this, if I said to you, the animal feels pain, it suffers, and it has a right to live, and you dismiss that and go, you don't have any answers. What else do you want then, man? I don't understand what else you want then.
I'm saying you're saying that as if I'm supposed to assume that is an action that's like you're assuming that I'm supposed to take that as okay, then that's correct. I'm supposed to just assume that is a wrong thing to do when that's not how philosophy works at all. If you're going to actually
that's not true.
No,
You're telling me two things. You're telling me two things. You said there's a difference with you because you have Christian values to justify why it's wrong, and then you go, it's not a philosophical thing. So you can't have it both ways. Either
no,
it's
I'm saying what
Christian
you were
religious
saying
thing
wasn't a philosophical thing. I was saying what you were saying was a philosophical thing.
Okay, so even if I'm right, why is that like not good enough? I don't understand why that's a problem for you. And by the way, you can do by religion too, or a philosophical. Either
because
one.
I'm saying that you're using universal truths, and I'm saying how do you justify those universal truths? And what you're doing to justify those universal truths is proclaiming more universal truths. That's why.
No, listen. No, let's try this again. I'm not taking Mars and Jupiter and Saturn or any part of the universe. When an animal or human,
You don't know what a universal
so you
truth
can
is, do you?
But let me ask you. When you take a human and you force the human to be tortured or killed, you don't have to be religious to know it's wrong. You're telling me I'm just not accepting it because you're not showing me why it's wrong. It's suffering. It has a right to live. They're done. But you're not accepting that. So here's what I'm going to do for you now.
I'm asking you. No. I'm asking you why suffering is wrong, and you're saying it's because it's suffering. That's a stupid.
I know what you're saying, Paul. But I'm going to show you what you're doing wrong. Let me show you what you're doing. If you were doing this the other way around, let's say this was the other way around, and you and I was asking you, why is it wrong to torture and kill a human? And then you explained it to me. They suffer. They feel pain. They're not happy.
That's
they
not
might
what I
have a
would
right
have said.
to live.
Okay. That's not how I would reply.
But hang on. But Paul, if I said to you, you know what, Paul, you're not giving me any justification. You're just giving me universal truths based on more universal truths. So you don't have an answer to this, Paul. That wouldn't make any sense. You would lose, man.
Okay, you straw man me so hard right now. You
Paul,
essentially.
that's exactly what you did to me. I'm doing the other way around.
That's
for
not
you.
what I did to you. That's not what I did.
You didn't
to you.
do that. Okay.
I asked you why suffering was wrong, and you replied with because it's suffering.
Here we go with suffering again. Here we go with suffering.
I didn't just say suffering. I don't know why Mr. Beardo was laughing at me. I clearly said suffering. It has a right to live. You're killing it. It has a right to live. Why are you dodging that?
Okay, well then you're just adding another universal truth. You're saying it has a right to live, but we're all supposed to accept that as a truth, as a universal truth.
All right, so Paul, before I address that, when I did it the other way around and I pretended you did the same thing, what was different with my example when I did it the other way around? What was different?
I don't understand what you mean by that question.
Remember how I said, what if this was the other way around and you gave me the answers for humans or dogs or whatever I said, and then I said to you, well, Paul, you're not giving me an answer. You're just giving me universal truths. And you told me that's not the same thing. What is the difference?
What is the difference is I wouldn't have used universal truths. I would have given you a justification for why those universal truths even work in my worldview. Okay, and you haven't done that yet.
But if you did, what is the difference?
Oh, okay. So you're asking me, okay, so Paul, what if you gave me a bullshit reply? That's essentially what you're telling me.
All right, Paul, if we're going to play that game, Paul, you're giving me bullshit follow-ups, okay?
Okay, so you give up then?
Paul,
is that
by
what
to your religious argument, Paul, to your religious argument, if you're going to tell me that the difference is you have a religious argument, you know you can find tons of things in any, I shouldn't say any religion, but particularly Islam or Christianity or any other, lots of other religions where you can find things that are questionable. So just because something is in a religion or not there doesn't mean you have the moral high ground and everyone else does not.
Okay, so to reply to that, you're essentially saying that with what I perceive to be moral, you're going to go and then find something that I perceive to be immoral in like Christianity or Islam or whatever, and then you're going to assert with your subjective reality of what is moral and not, which you haven't justified whatsoever. You haven't given me a clear, coherent, objective moral.
No, I have. You just dismissed it.
No, you didn't actually. You didn't give me any justification for your objective universal truth of why suffering or killing is even
Paul,
morally wrong.
By this logic, if I had a dog in front of me and I kicked it in the head and stomped on it, and then you go, why is that wrong? If I don't have a religion, I can't show you why it's wrong to kick and stomp on that puppy?
Yeah, pretty much. If you don't believe in God, you can't actually give me a coherent reply why that's wrong.
Paul, as a person, Paul, I believe in God, but now that you give me that answer, it is you again who's giving me the bullshit answer. You are literally dismissing everything I tell you and just going, my way is the only true way to verify, and that's it.
Well,
no, I didn't. No.
But Galaxy, hold up here. Galaxy, you're saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
In other words,
Galaxy has done this whole conversation.
Exactly. It's like believe me.
What have I done? What have I done the same thing?
Well, I'm just saying, you're saying
I'm science, you're a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So it's
okay.
like
Let me clarify. That was not my intention. Let me clarify. I said to you clearly, and you can play the tape. I said to you clearly, whether you believe in God or you're atheist or you're agnostic or whatever, torturing is killing is wrong. Now he's telling me, where's your justification? Because he has a way for religion to do that. So I'm trying to show him, just because something has a religious background doesn't mean now they're all right and everyone else who doesn't follow that is wrong. You can have right and wrong without a particular religion. You can do that.
If you do not believe in God, you don't have a coherent worldview in which you could justify morality. And I'm saying if you're an atheist and you only believe in what is material and that there isn't any metaphysical construct to reality, you can't justify what is morally acceptable or not.
Oh, you forgot.
Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish?
You forgot what I said. Yeah, go ahead, Paul. Don't get angry, man.
No, it's because you're interrupting, and so you're not allowing me to actually say what I want to say.
When you say I have bullshit answers and all that, you're kind of being a jerk,
Oh, you're kind of being a jerk right now too. Okay, so an atheist.
That's after you started that drama.
If an atheist were to kick and stomp on a dog, no, they cannot actually morally justify why that was a wrong thing. If they were an atheist, no, they can't do that. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and I said, because you believe in God, you do have a way to actually justify why killing and torturing an animal is wrong. So
That's what I was trying to answer right now, Paul. No, Paul, that's what I was trying to answer. Paul,
yeah, but you got mad at me and you told me that, by your logic, that atheists can't know that.
That's why I was trying to clarify that, but you didn't want me interrupting you. I could have just got into right away why it's wrong when it comes to religion and God. I could have done that, and I kind of did earlier. You forgot when I said, if you believe in God, it's wrong to kill. They're God's creatures. God put them on earth. They have a right to live. The reason I didn't do it right now was because I thought, judging by the way you were acting earlier, you seem like a smart guy. I thought if I just go into why it's wrong with religion and God, he can just say, well, what about other religions? And how do you know God thinks this? So I was trying to go by something that we can all agree on, science. That's why I did that. If you want, I can get into the religious part again, if you like.
But you're asserting that using universal truths like logic and reason, morality is something that I'm just going to sit here and accept. Like you and I, we both are.
No, Paul, you didn't get what I said. No, Paul, you didn't get what I said. Paul, you still didn't get what I said earlier in the phone call in this StreamYard. Earlier, I did explain why it's wrong religiously when it comes to God. The reason I didn't do it right now was because I thought, based on the way you were talking to me earlier, you were being on my on my side.
You're not understanding what I'm saying.
What am I not getting?
What I'm saying is that every single universal truth that you use, you have to believe in God in order for those universal truths to work. So you saying religiously, justifying why it's wrong, and I'm telling you that is the only way that you could actually justify what is morally wrong. And you're telling me that there's some other thing.
Well, there's only one difference between you and me. You say only way is God and religion. I say God, religion, and science. That's the only difference. You're just nitpicking now, man.
No. I'm saying that science can't even justify morality, but you're saying that it can for some reason.
Okay, I'm not even saying science. I'm just.
Well, you literally just said that. You literally just said God and science.
Let me clarify. When I was doing the routine earlier, I know now I said science. I know that. What I meant was earlier when I was talking about killing a dog, stomping on a dog, and all that. I wasn't using the word science. I was just trying to go by common sense at that point.
Okay, but common sense is not a universal truth that we could just agree on. I mean, it's not common sense. You can't use common sense in order to justify something that's morally right.
And religion is not a universal truth that we can all agree on.
What was that?
And religion is not a universal truth that we all can agree on.
Well, say that you can't agree on it, but you kind of have to if you want to justify universal truths. You have to agree that God exists in order to justify universal truths.
No, you don't. Galaxy.
Yes, I feel guilty saying this, Paul, because I believe in God. That's why I feel guilty, because I believe in God. But I don't understand why you're nitpicking on, well, the only way is to justify with religion. I'm just trying to show you a common sense thing about torturing and killing, and you're nitpicking that I'm not going by religion right now. I don't understand.
You totally don't understand my point at all. I'm telling you that you can't use common sense in order to justify what is morally right. I'm challenging you and saying, where do you derive moral truths from? And you're telling me it's common sense.
My answer to that, again, I've said this over and over. Earlier in the StreamYard, I was showing you about God and religion. I just didn't do it right now because I thought, based on the way you talked to me, that you would be smart enough to know, hey, Galaxy, why would you go by God and religion? Not everyone has the same religion. What if you're wrong? Do you know more than God and all that? So I just went to something else, common sense, science then.
Oh my God! And I'm telling you that you can't use common sense in order to justify that.
I know that now, Paul. I know that
no,
now.
But you're asserting that using common sense is a better method, and I'm telling you it's not.
Okay, fine. So Paul. Okay, so we obviously don't agree about the science and common sense. Do you want me to go back to the religion thing? I can do that for you.
Absolutely.
I have one problem.
Dude, I'm telling you that you can't even use common sense because common sense can't justify universal truths. It can't justify universal morality. It can't.
Oh, I heard you. I'm saying, do you want me to go to the religion then? I'm asking you this question.
No, I'm telling you. Will you assert this, that there's no other way for you to justify moral universal truths without the belief of God? Will you assert that there's no other way of doing it?
I think it depends on what the truth is, right?
Here we go.
I have one problem with this.
For example,
I have one problem with that point.
If you tell me
this is going nowhere, guys.
And by the way,
this is not going anywhere. This is a train to nowhere.
Chris, you are right. And this is what I said earlier when Paul brought this up. I said this earlier. I don't want to get into, I don't have the exact words in exact quote, okay, but I basically told him, I don't really want to get into this because it's going to lead to philosophical mumbo jumbo, or we're gonna get off the subject then.
Philosophical.
This is what happens with these.
You're only calling it mumbo jumbos because you don't even understand philosophy in the first place.
Paul, the truth is you made up your mind and you're stuck in your way, and everyone who disagrees with you is wrong or giving you bullshit answers. You made up your mind. Good for you, man. You have all the answers. You know everything about the universe. I don't agree with you. I'm sorry.
I'm challenging you on something, and you can't even give me a coherent response for why it's wrong. You could only.
Okay,
you're only
I'll try this again. I'll try this again. No, I've given you a coherent response. You are just not accepting my answer. I'll try this again.
I wasn't accepting it because it didn't make any sense at all.
Thank you.
And the only
Galaxy. The problem with our world, we don't have to accept things that are not true. Period.
Galaxy,
Paul,
your mind reading.
You don't accept my answer, and I don't accept your answer. So what we do at that point is instead of relying on one religion,
in a bubble now.
So instead of relying on one,
right?
Instead of relying on your way or my way, why don't we go by the science at that point?
Because science can't justify moral truths. I've told you this like 20 times.
Just go by the science. Let's go by the science,
everybody. We got Dr. Fauci here.
To the guy with the beard. To the guy with the beard, I'm not saying you have to go by just science. I'm happy to go by God and religion, but he's not going to accept anything I tell him. That's the problem.
You guys want to hear science?
I'm not accepting what you're saying because it doesn't make any sense, and you're not understanding it whatsoever.
It makes sense. So when something doesn't make sense to you, but it makes sense to someone else, you don't just say, I'm wrong, you're wrong, I'm wrong, you're wrong. You go by the facts at the entire time. So that's why you go by facts. That's why you go by facts, Paul. The fact is they don't want to die. They want to live.
Okay.
That's a fact.
Okay, and you're saying that as a universal truth, and you can't give me a clear, coherent answer for why that is actually morally wrong. And I've challenged you on that so many times. You couldn't give me an answer.
Because pain and suffering is not a pleasant experience. That's
because pain and suffering is an unpleasant experience, and so therefore it's morally wrong, right?
Right. Yes, you don't cause pain and suffering to anything if you don't have to. That's right.
I know that's been your position this entire time, but you're calling me an idiot that like I'm in some sort of bubble, like I don't understand that. And I'm telling you,
I never said you're an idiot. I only reacted.
I know I'm using hyperbole. I'm using hyperbole.
Paul, when you
let me finish.
I know that. But
Okay.
I heard you say hyperbole. I'm actually listening to you, Paul. When you say to me, "Oh, you're giving me bullshit answers. You don't have an answer. You're stuck in a bubble." When you come at me like that, don't be surprised if I think you're an idiot. Then
That's
Dude,
fine.
I
Hey,
literally asked you
let
to
him
give
think
me.
you're an idiot.
I literally
Let him
asked
think
you to
you're an
give me a
idiot.
justification. I literally asked you to give me a justification.
I'm pretty sure the guy with the
for-
beard thinks I'm an idiot.
And
I'm
your
pretty sure he thinks I'm an
response.
idiot.
I
Oh,
don't
look, you're
think
not
you're an
even.
idiot. I don't think you're an idiot, Galaxy.
I literally asked you.
Question for
To the
Galaxy.
guy with the beard, if you don't think I'm an idiot, man, what do you think I am, man? I like to know what you think. I'm pretty sure it's pretty negative.
No. You good? Listen. Do you
You're not
believe
even
in
listening to him, Galaxy. You're not even
do you
listening.
believe in? Do you believe in biblical passages, Galaxy? Do you believe in things biblical?
I'm not. Paul, I am listening. You're just dismissing everything. Your mind is made up. You're stuck in your ways, and you think you know everything. Man.
No,
To the guy with the
he
beard,
literally
do I know biblical
said.
passages?
He
I haven't
literally
read the
said,
Bible
"I
from
don't
start
think
to
you're."
finish, man.
He literally said, "I don't think you're an
I know
idiot,
what he
Galaxy."
said, man. I'm
And then
talking about you, Paul. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you, Paul.
Oh my God! Can you let me finish? Like seriously, you're sitting here telling me like I have my mind made up, but you don't even want people to finish their response, and you want to actually just assume
I'm
that you know
debating
what
with
they're
multiple
talking about.
people at once.
No.
I'm debating
You're a
multiple people at once.
you're a
so I'm listening to
narcissist.
everyone.
No, you're a narcissist. You have some sort of God complex of some kind. You can't even.
Let's recap here. When you say I give you bullshit answers and I'm in a bubble and I'm stuck and all that, you're the
Yeah.
narcissist. You start the drama and you can't handle when I come back at you. That's a problem, man.
No, I'm trying to have you justify your moral universal truths, and your response is, "Oh, it's because suffering is wrong." So you're giving me another universal truth.
Let's take a timeout. Let's take a timeout. Before we get to the subject about universal truths and how much you know, let's first acknowledge something, Paul. And you can play this tape back. In the beginning, when you and I were debating, it was pretty nice. You started the negative kind of reactions, and then when I reacted to you, you got more negative. And you're just basically
You
giving
did it,
yourself
Paul.
a pass.
It's because you don't
I'm
want
a
to listen to
narcissist.
anything we're
I'm a
saying.
narcissist. Everything is my fault.
Yes, because you have some sort of God
And I'm the
complex
narcissist.
where-
Everything is my fault, and I'm the narcissist. Okay, Paul. All right.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? I owe an apology to the guy with the beard. You're more reasonable than Paul. I owe you an apology, man. I'm missing you now, man. I'm gonna go back to that
Galaxy,
guy.
Hey,
look,
Galaxy,
do you believe?
You can't give a
Galaxy.
justification to universal
I gave you
truths.
justification. I gave you.
No,
you know
you
what?
did
Since
not. And I'm telling you,
since you want to call me names, you're just too dumb to understand, man. You're just dismissing
Hey,
everything, man.
did I call you a name? Did I call you a name? What did I call you?
No, you were very nice, Paul. You were very nice to me, Paul. You
What
gave me
did I
lots of
call you?
compliments.
What did I call you? Did I call you a name?
Paul,
Galaxy.
soon as, how many times, Paul, do you want me to repeat the negative things you've said to me? How many times
What
do you
did I
want me to do
call
that?
you? I didn't call you a name.
Now he's gonna.
I said you're a narcissist, but that's not a name.
Now he's gonna say Galaxy doesn't have an answer. Every time I answer this guy, he dismisses it, and then when I get tired of him, he goes, "You're the bad guy. You're wrong."
I dismissed it because it was a bullshit answer. That's why.
Okay, so what
Paul
do you want
likes
me to
to
do?
argue.
Argue
You
with
can't actually
These two guys
think at a
love to
philosophical
argue.
level
This is
until you
great.
get.
Paul, listen, Paul. When someone says these things to you over and over, how much time do you want me to argue with that person, man? Seriously.
fellow Californian
I'm
Galaxy.
staying on the same point because you
What's
can't
up,
actually.
Mr. Beard? What's up, man?
Hello.
I gave you an answer. You can't accept my answer, man. Your mind is made up. Your way is the
I
only way,
didn't
man.
accept your answer because it wasn't a good
Paul,
answer.
if you
It's
like
an
Paul, I'll tell you what I'll do. Since you think I'm in a bubble and I'm a narcissist, I give you bullshit answers. Paul, I'm inviting you on my program, one-on-one. Let's find out who's scared and who's backing down, man. I'll put you on my program if you like.
All right, I'll come on your program.
All right.
There you go.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead to the guy. I know you were asking me something. Go ahead, guy.
No, man. Do you believe in biblical principles? Do you believe in the Bible?
Yeah, I believe in the Bible. Sure. Yes.
Do you know that in Genesis it says that the man has rule authority over the beasts and the animals?
I've never read the Bible from start to finish, man. I apologize.
What is no? Just go look in Genesis. There's, if you like care to know, there's a scripture in there that talks about that God gave man the authority over the animals.
Mm-hmm.
So just
is it
something.
true? Is it true before the flood that the world was vegetarian according to Christians, or no?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
No. Okay. I don't know why some Christians are they wrong, or some Christians believe that, don't they?
I don't know, but Galaxy, I appreciate what you do say about people need to be more mindful when they eat instead of just eating a burger and shitting. I agree with that. But
I remember you said that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's it. But that's all I wanted to say.
By the way, somebody asked me earlier if I had other subjects. I mean, it's your program. I think we are going in circles now, and I knew this would happen with the
We're
philosophers.
definitely going in circles, but we're gonna back down off.
And by the way, Tony, I knew this would happen. It always happens with the philosophers. It always goes like this, man. It
Well,
always
that's
does,
all
man.
right. I mean, we are great believers in philosophy on this show, and that's for sure.
So am I. So
I'm
am I.
having a good time.
I love philosophy. You can't have a debate. Philosophy is going to come down to some opinions, and you can't debate people on opinions. I like to go by facts, you know.
Yeah, but it's also where you get your facts from. Okay,
That's true. I agree.
I mean,
Galaxy.
Facts and all these studies and all studies and facts can be biased. That's for sure. They can be manipulated.
But that's true. That's true. But you can make the same point for the meat-eating fact studies and the vegetarian studies. So what you do is you go by the majority. So let me ask you a question, Tony. What do you think is more likely, Tony? What do you think is more likely? Do you think it's more likely for meat-eating doctors to tell you that a plant-based diet is healthier, or for the meat industry to tell you that the meat diet's fine?
I don't listen to either of them. I listen to my body.
Yeah.
Listen to
Okay, but what's more likely? I'm asking like a logical question. What do you think is more likely?
And gives me high testosterone to be a man. I eat the things that make me a man, period.
I can assure you, Tony, you can be a nice man and much more healthier probably if you don't eat carcass, flesh, gut, and blood.
Absolutely not. I'm going to disagree with you 100%.
We got too many.
Tony,
Galaxy.
see, Tony, this is why we have to go by facts, Tony. It's not a disagreement, Tony. The facts show it, man.
They don't show it.
Galaxy, we're not trying to be nice men. We're not trying to be nice men. We're trying to be men.
Yep. Not trying to
You
be
can
nice.
I can assure you, man, the world's strongest guy in Germany is a vegan. He's a manly man. Arnold Schwarzenegger became a vegan. He's a manly man.
He kicks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has nice
Sorry?
breath now. He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has
Again, genetic freaks don't count. That's
No, but Tony, I only gave you those examples because if you want to talk about manly men, these are very much manly men. If I told you about an average guy in the street, you wouldn't know who he is then.
I'm an average guy in the street.
Okay, and you can find average guys who are very healthy. Knock on wood, I'm very healthy. I'm about. I'm not trying to brag and boast.
I don't know.
I can tell you right now. I'm about 6'2". I'm about 6'2". I weigh 220. I weigh 220, and I'm actually pretty
tall.
fit.
Yeah, but you don't have an icon, so we don't know. We don't know who you are.
Well,